I will start with a technical lecture about glide technique. I will focus on the technique the technical work I do with David. I will show you what our focus is, what our goal is, what we want to develop, technical abilities, and I think there are some principles that you can. They are valid for every athlete. So I think you will learn something. I will start with a little overview from David, and I will just show a few pictures. So I will say these are the early years of his career. So maybe you remember 2011 Daegu, 2013 Moscow, and what you see is the power position, the starting position. With this position starts the delivery, and you see the release of the shot, last contact with the fingers, and what we see is a nice power position, an athletic position, and we see in reverse. Then we go further in the mid years of his career, and maybe you see that there was a change. A change from the reverse to the non-reverse, and in 2015 it was a very successful change. He improved his personal best to 22:20, and he gets a silver medal in Beijing. So, not a bad decision, maybe. So, then years are going further. 2017, London, 1 year before the Olympics, and I think if we take a look on these positions, we see there's another change. Different positions, and maybe they look a bit too early. Yes, in this years, 2016 and 17, big problems. He had also good single performances, single competitions where he could perform, but in the total he has big problems. There were no picking at main competition and some technical problems. At the end of 2017 we have started our collaboration, and what came then? So in the last nearly 2 years, I think there was another change. 2018, this is the European Championship final, and 2019 is the European Championship indoor final. And what we see, I think, or I hope, is positions that are similar to that what we see 2011, 2013. And this is not a this is our opinion, it's what we want, and I want to try to tell you why. So, in Germany we have a very good scientific support. They do a lot of things, and one special thing is motion analysis. They do it over several years. We have a big history in this, and especially for the glide, I think we know what we do. So we have different methods to analyze movements, kinematic analysis, dynamic braking, and we do it in training and competition. So it's around here support, and we have a big database. So, and we have analysis of our athletes, and we have analysis of international athletes if they are in Germany on the competition. We do an analysis. So. And from David, we have also analysis since 2008. So we can make a longitudinal analysis. We can show what are good performances, or what characteristics of good performances, what characteristics of bad performances. So I don't want to show a lot of data, but if we take it together, then all the data show exactly that what you see. So I think everyone if we see this Lego things, he's fast. And he is or he was fast. He had a fast glide, and this means he had high velocities at the center of mass. So he reaches velocities in his best attempts, and these are attempts with release velocities about 40 meters per second, above 2.4. That's really high. Other athletes like Majewski, Bartels, and so on are 10–15% lesser. So it's a high value. He has also, after the glide, a very good transition in the single support from the right to the left. There are no or less velocity loss, but good rhythm. 100 milliseconds between planting right leg and left leg, really fast. And he has at the touchdown of the left foot, this is strongly correlated to his velocity of glide, a high velocity of the shot, above 3 meters per second. Very, very fast. Other athletes, Bartels, Majewski, are 2.3, 2.56. He has over 3 meters per second. But he was so fast that he has an effective delivery. He was able to accelerate the shot on this level of velocity and to produce release velocities around 40 meters per second. And this is is the product or the result from this explosive leg work. You can see it, it's slow-mo, but planting up. So our decision was back to his old strength. We are talking about what we want to do. We are discussed the change to the rotation. As yesterday mentioned, he was not so amused. He wants still to be a glider. He wanted back to the reverse. It was his opinion. This is wanted. So, and in my eyes, he is a reverser. So
his reverse is fantastic. Yeah.
We have decided to do it. Yesterday I showed some exercise complexes to improve the glide, and I said that we have exercises to improve the, for us, critical phases. These phases are for everyone critical, but I will now show how we work and what's the theoretical background. So in the push-off phase, that's from the starting position to the release from the right foot. The goal is to create a high glide velocity, or a high velocity of the whole system, or glide velocity. So you have to create an impulse, and but it is not. You have to mention how, or you have to consider how to attain this velocity. You have to maintain a functional posture for the subsequent phases. You cannot make something like that and then it's all good. So the impulse you have to produce is have two main aspects. It's on the one side the impulse of the right leg, the push-off action, the force over time, and additionally is it the impulse of the left leg pulling motion. Push right, pull left. So impulse is force over time. So from a technical point of view, we need a long and a strong or powerful push-off. And this push-off has to be well-timed and with the left leg pull. This is technique, this is coordination. I will now show what our focus is, where we try to develop this, and then I will show what the result is if the push-off is not good. So we're starting, David has a dynamic initial movement, a bit like Timmerman, not so, but a bit so. So So he comes to a high point after this, and then we are, it's a sequence, it's a motion, but I have to talk about now about positions. It's not so my thing, but the idea. It comes from the high point, and what we want is a vertical lower. He has to lower over the right foot. His center of mass has to stay over the right foot, and we want to avoid a shifting. Very much athletes are doing this. They're feeling fast, but they're getting it fast. They are falling from the high point, or they're starting here, and there's no action from the right. So we want a no shift, we want a vertical lower, and due to his mechanics, his knee comes to 2. If he lowers backward, the knee goes down. If he lowers vertical, the knee goes over the 2. And in the low point of this lowering, he starts with the right leg. This is for us important. It's the leading leg for us. The right leg is the leading leg. It starts the push off. It's the active leg in the transition, and it's in the delivery very important. So it's very demanding for the right leg. The right leg push off is a whole footwork, where the whole foot, it starts from the ball over the sole to the heel. We try to create a horizontal velocity. And the right leg push off is powerful and long, full extended, with a nearly full extended knee at the end. So I said it has to be coordinated with the left leg. The left leg we try a bit to delay from the low point, and the left leg action starts when the right foot is nearly on flat, when the calf is vertical. So this is all 1990. The left leg pull is flat, and if he is doing everything well, we have a double extension, nearly. And the upper body has to stay passive. After the push-off, the glide, support the face, then blending the left leg. And here is the goal to maintain or increase the glide velocity. He's doing that in his good attempts. And at the end we want to attain the functional power position. The transition phase depends strongly from the quality of the push-off. If I do a well-timed push-off, the transition is easy. I create a long glide, right leg touchdown under the body, and this is important. The right leg touchdown has to be under the body, and if he times it well, the center of mass is in front of the leg. There's always a small bracing phase, but this allows him to work active with the right leg and to be stiff. If he lands here, too far in the direction of the throw, he's falling around his right. He's falling on the left. We want to create a high horizontal velocity in the glide, and we want this transfer to the power position. The touchdown of the right leg is active. I hope you can see this. I call this attacking the ground. He has a very good timing, and his touchdown is in a good attempt when this center of mass is still in the race. So he reduces the landing forces and creates good conditions for him to accelerate the system. And the right leg, here, in my opinion, the right leg has to stiffen. There is no movement. It's not a flexion, extension, or something like that. You have not the time, 100 milliseconds. The touchdown of the left leg is, in my opinion, a result of the horizontal movement and the right movements preceding the touchdown. You can let fall down or something like that, but it's not an active planting. It's a result. High horizontal velocity, high transfer. These are two bad attempts. In this one, he's not active enough or not aggressive enough in the push-off with the right leg. The lowering is okay, so he stays passive, he goes passive on the whole sole, the left leg goes out, he begins pulling, but the right leg is not active enough, so the glide is short, and he's falling around. Center of mass on the left leg. Shot over the knee, not over the foot. And delivery is not good. This is the one of the main problems. Late attacking with the right leg creates an impulse or a motion for the body which is for the subsequent phases not effective. That's why we are focusing so on this push-off. This is the second problem, a more rotation on the longitudinal axis. Happens then when the push-off is very dominated from the left leg pulling. Right leg is passive, left leg pulls the hip, body begins to rotate, the right foot comes out, no linear movement. And he is falling out of the circle to the left. I will show you 4 power positions, different athletes, different capabilities, different bodies, different power positions. I think it's logical. All athletes are very successful athletes with release velocities around 40 meters per second in his best attempts. All different power positions, different techniques. And this is valid for David too. He has his own power position. It's a relative upright position. This means he has not much bending or flexing in the spine. He's very upright. But the center of mass is like this on the right leg. The shot is over the right foot. The foot is turned about 45 degrees, and the feet are between the feet are a narrow distance, 1.10 meters with 1.20 in his best attempt, and the feet placement is in line, or nearly in line. So he doesn't stand so, he stands in line. The left arm opens up, but in his best attempt, still in motion in the shoulder joint. The shot stays here, and he did this. A bit like Andre. And we talked about separation. Yes. Slight to medium separations, I will call it, at the time point planting left foot. 30 to 50 degrees. It's variable. It's not maximum. He's very flexible. He could do this, but he's here. Very upright, good posture, small separation, more tension, or a bit tension, like free tension. Feeling comfortable. I mentioned that his explosive left work was his weapon, especially in the delivery, and I will say something to this left work. The left leg, the primary target for the left leg is to decelerate the body as rapid as possible. I talked about horizontal velocity high, I talked about a high transfer, and then what we want is as rapid as possible decelerate the system, decreasing the velocity to get conditions to have a good transfer in the vertical on the shot. And the right leg has to react. The left leg touches, the right leg, bam, bam, bam. It's a reactive action. It's really explosive in a short time window. The whole delivery lasts by David around 200 milliseconds, 210, and the left work is maybe 50% of this. So, what has the right leg to do? I think there are different opinions. In my opinion, it's a hip dominant motion. It's not a knee extension. There's a bit knee extension, but the knee extension is a result from the hip motion. And it's a combined motion. It's a slightly internal rotation, but with an extension of the right hip. Turn and push. And the combination with the mechanical conditions, the velocity, the reaction forces, and so on, made this. The left leg counts when the left leg is stiff and decelerates the system. The movement is initiated, and you have to give him the push. Up, up. That he did in 2011, 12, 13. Very good.
Wilko,
Yes.
quick question about that. You say that he lands his feet are in line. So the hit, then is it able to get around?
Nearly in line, not.
Okay.
So Majeski stands very
Okay.
other type, but he stands nearly in line. Or we wanted he stays nearly in line because he has better conditions for the block. It's direct. The block in combination with the creates a hit motion. So if he does it well, the hip leads the movement, and as mentioned, in the power position, he has a slight to medium separation. If we take a look on analysis, this separation goes not up. It's not. He has a separation. He holds. You can see it here. He holds this separation for a short period of time, and then it goes up. The separation goes down. The shoulder begins to move. But I think that if the hip leads the movement, we have a moment of inertia of the shot of the throwing arm of the shoulder axis. I think there's the use of pretension. You don't have to do this. You have a really relatively stiff system, but if this leads, it creates pretension. And as a result, he has good sequence hip shoulder velocity. This is a linear velocity of the joint centers. And this is from a mechanical view. This is an advantage because we have a summation. So we have a physiological component and we have a mechanical. These two attempts, I think, are one of the best he did since we worked together. The left one is in reverse. It was one day before the final in Glasgow, and this was a bond. We did our final session, and there was a net, and he threw 4 or 5 throws in the whole in total, and it was the last. And the other are slightly in the net, and this one goes up the boom. So I was very happy and looking forward to the final. And the others, T10 was in the final. This is a reverse, and it's nearly that what we want. there are always some details you can better, but there was a good rhythm. It was a very horizontal gliding, but it was not enough power. It was not nice. And in the next attempt, he wants more, and then the technique goes down. This sounds all very complicated, maybe, but this is not topic in our training. When we do technique training or something like that, we don't talk about biomechanics. Or I don't say to him, or you have to do 60 Newton more, or you have 5 degrees here. We're talking about dynamic and rhythm, what the feelings, flow of movement. And we are working with pictures or metaphors. So therefore, the key points have we our metaphors, and about this we are talking, and we are talking about things like pressure on the hip or the ball, or how's the hand and such things. And so we are very simple in the technique training, in our conversation. But the biomechanics and the theoretical background, that is for us to evaluate the progress and to look where we are.
Okay, I was thinking about, do you know how David was training when he was younger, and if he had, when it comes to the technical work, in terms of drills, volume of training sessions, and if he also, it would be fun if he had, did he have anything similar to Wolves when it comes to, background, why he does something is because of, yeah, something like that.
Here is his first coach is here, no? Isn't it? No, it's not here. Where's David himself? Can you maybe a bit explain? Yeah. Maybe you can repeat the question, and he will. But I don't know what he has done with you. As good as himself.
Yes.
Yes, when I was younger, I played a little bit of football, something like this. But I think the most important thing was that I practiced decathlon. I did everything in athletics. I did pole vault, I threw the javelin, and I think I have a good feeling for the movement at all, and I have a good coordination, and I can feel the positions and what's good for me, I think. And maybe this is the most important thing for my technique.
Yeah, you mentioned that you can only take a finite amount of throws in a session, and not in a fatigued state, and that's common across rotation glide. But I want to know how much of the technical presentation of David throwing is based on skill or technique versus his physical conditions at that time. So if he's fresh and had less compliant, for example, compared to yesterday, when he's fully trained, do these technical problems improve because of this, or is that's the root cause? Yeah, and then you can add this skill element and timing, etc. This is how you think about this problem?
You mean if there's a correlation between his state of fitness and his...
Yeah, so I think where we've gotten to is, if I'm understanding right, that you can't achieve some of these positions and this sequence if you're not if you don't have the physical conditions to do this, right? So you can't expect to do it all year round or for 50 throws in a session, etc. Do you factor this into your planning? Is this something that you think about actively? I presume it is, because obviously that's something that's common across not only elite throwers like David, but right the way down to working with children who can't achieve these positions not because of lack of technical ability, but with lack of physical ability.
So I try to plan and give him pace where is well rested, and we can to do full throw. And in other phases or in earlier phases of the year, I try to create conditions that he can reach good conditions or positions. So like the change step variations, or we go outside of the circle and do other things, where I secure that he comes in positions we want to train or to stabilize or to optimize.
So we have next one in here.
Yeah.
You haven't mentioned anything about the left arm across the circle. Do you guys talk about it? Just want to keep the left shoulder back, or because I see David, his arm starts pulling in across the circle. Do you guys work on the left arm?
Not much. So I think it's in compensation. Compensates if he is doing not well with the legs, and I think it's the question how he is doing. What I say, if he's working in the shoulder zone, I think there is no disadvantage. I think there is maybe an advantage.
Yeah, but that's when he hits the power position. What about as he crosses the circle?
Yes.
You don't worry about just letting it hang there. You don't worry about the movement, leaving it back.
No, it's very common in Germany to say close to shoulder and
Right.
here. This is the same thing about a long pass. To secure a long pass. There are athletes, they have a long pass, they need a long pass.
Right.
David has a pass of 160 in his best attempt. It's like a rotational shot putter. My gesture at 210. So I don't, if I say to him, close, he gets into positions which are not naturally for him.
Okay.
I will that he, individualize his movements.
Right.
I give him a framework, and I try to create this framework, what seems to be the best for him, and then he has to create and work with him.
Right. Thank you.
You talked about the causes rather than effects. You talk about causes that give you effects. I'm interested in what are the key cues that you use in your communication with David in your technical one. Usually you maybe only have 2 or 3 that are the most important to you. What are the most important cues that you use with David? You said attack the ground.
Yeah, attack the ground is one thing, yeah.
What are the others that you use, the main ones in order to get the overall effect?
I know how to translate it. The start, when we start, be aggressive with the right leg, so we have a cue for, and for the hip motion. It's more a feeling. So, yeah, 3 cues.
Yeah, I think there's a problem for an athlete, because if you want to achieve more power, the most power you have, you like to open the movement like this, you know, to fall in the throw, and then all the coming positions will be bad, and I can't reach my power position which I need, and that's the biggest problem in glide. You need to be aggressive only on the right foot, and the other stuff has to be calm and relaxed, not in the back, but relaxed, and you have to achieve the power from the right and from the upper body. And my goal always is to come in front with the hip for the shoulders, and that's I think that's the main what we are working on. But when I wanted too much, like in Berlin was a typical day for that. I know I could throw far, but I wanted too much, and I opened the movement with the shoulder, and then what Wilko says, I rotate, I fall in the throw, and then I can't work with the shot. I just run behind them. And there's no pressure on it, and that's a small gap, but it's just a feeling.
Okay, thank you.